A module is a reusable component on a page. It can be a button, a widget, a callout, a banner, and so on. Now, usually modules sit inside layout components, but they can also exist within other modules. However, it's good practice to design each module as a standalone component. That way you can rearrange or move these modules without breaking or affecting the overall layout. Now, since the modules are reusable, always use class names. Let's take the HTML from the previous lesson and say that you want to style the widgets a bit differently. For example, add a border bottom. Now, instead of targeting each list item from the L vertical list, right? So instead of doing L vertical list item, and then just say border bottom, 1 pixel, solid red, right? This works. It's fine, but you can do it a bit differently, and this is actually the recommended method. So instead of doing that, let's add the class of widget to each list item. So I'm just gonna do this, class equals widget. And the reason I think this is a good approach is because you can still use the L vertical list in places where you don't want a border bottom on each list item. Plus, by styling the widgets separately, they are not dependent on anything. You can place them wherever you want in the page. Let's say you want to make the title of the widget uppercase. Well, you would probably do this. Widget H4. And you would do text transform uppercase. Right? And this works just fine, right? This is how it currently looks like. But what if that widget will someday contain other H4s that don't have to be uppercase? Well, a bit of a trouble, right? In this case, it's best you define another class for that H4. So you would say H4 class, let's call it widget title. So now you can go right here and say this, widget title, text transform uppercase. The result is, well, it should be pretty much the same. Let's see, class widget title. Okay, so another refresh and that fixed it. So the result is exactly the same. Now, if you have additional H4s, for example, if I put another one here, this is another H4, right? That's not going to be uppercase, which is the result that you want. So this is a much better solution in the long run. So I guess my point is, don't rely on the structure, the HTML structure, being predictable. Right now, you only have a single H4 in each widget, and you can get away with a more general approach, but that might not be the case in the future when you might need to change stuff. Another thing I want to talk about is subclassing modules. Say you want to have a widget area in the footer, and you want to display some widgets that are very similar in style to the ones in the sidebar with some minor changes. Well, the first method would be to style these widgets according to the parent element. So let's see. I'm just going to use a normal div here. So div with a class of widget, which holds an H4 plus a paragraph. Let's call it footer widget. Right, so the result is pretty much this one. You don't have the widget title class, so let's add that to make it look exactly the same. So there it is, footer widget, uppercase, and some text. Now, if I want to change this text color to green, for example, the first approach would be something like this. I would go main footer, widget title, color, green. Right? And that changes the color to green. But again, you're assuming those widgets will only exist in the footer. What if I want to use them somewhere else in the future? Well, the solution is simple. You need to subclass these modules to create additional classes for the differences. So say, for example, let's add another style to the main widget just to see the differences. Border bottom, 1 pixel solid, red. Okay, so now we have a border bottom on all widgets. Let's go right here and say div class widget and widget simple, right? This is a subclass of widget. And then widget title, let's call it widget title normal. You could probably do a better job naming these classes, but I just want to give you some examples here. So once you do this, you can go ahead in the CSS, and instead of this, right, you would do widget title normal, color green, and the result is exactly the same. Again, the same thing goes for the widget simple. Right, let's remove the border bottom, for example, and let's make it a bit smaller, give it a width of about 200 pixels. Refresh, and the border is now gone. So you got the same result, but by using this approach, I created an additional class of the same module, which is independent. I can put it anywhere I want in the page. It doesn't rely on the HTML structure. And also notice in the HTML that I used both classes because I still need the original styles, but I want to add the subclass style as well to overwrite or to change some of the things from the original classes. That's about it for the module rules. In the next lesson, I'll talk about the fourth category, which is state rules.